Hello, and welcome to the Yankee Seasons Podcast, Episode 5, Roughed Up. Before I got started today, I did want to take some time here at the beginning just to acknowledge the gap of time between episodes, and thank you for your patience as you were waiting for this one to drop. In the beginning of July, my dad suffered a stroke. I went home to help take care of him with my family. He is luckily doing well, probably the best that we could do. I wanted to take some time just to thank Memorial Hospital there in Shiloh that he was initially taken to, and then he was airlifted to Barnes-Jewish there in St. Louis, so I just wanted to thank the doctors at both of those hospitals, specifically in the stroke ward at Barnes-Jewish, for taking care of my dad and just making sure that he was back on his feet. I also want to thank everybody in the extended family. When something like this happens, everybody kind of comes out of the woodwork to help you out, so I wanted to thank my in-laws, my brother's-in-laws, everybody in the extended family, all of my friends, anybody that has kind of dove in to help with everything that's been going on. We left our house here in Houston to go take care of him, like I said, and then we conveniently got hit by Hurricane Beryl as soon as all of that went down. So kind of a double up on everything, but I just really appreciate your patience waiting for this episode to come out, and hopefully this is the last little pause here for a while. So okay, let's dive right in. Episode 5, Roughed Up. The New York Yankees are wrapping up their first month of spring training as the favorites to take the championship. Their pitching has looked solid, albeit a few pieces here and there, including some shaky starts by right-handed hard ball thrower Bob Turley. Their batting, too, has looked impressive, with quite a few players from the minors really impressing at camp. One of those rookie hopefuls, Norm Seaburn, picked up an unlucky injury to both knees after crashing them into a concrete wall in the outfield. The injury was merely one on a longer list that manager Casey Stengel was navigating. For Seaburn, the knee injury would require x-rays in Miami and would put him on the injured list after playing in every inning of 12 of the first 13 exhibition games. In 48 at-bats, the 23-year-old had 14 hits with an average of .294 and was carving a spot for himself out in left field. Stengel's prized outfield prospect will be hopeful that the swelling is just a bad bruise and he will be back on the field before April 17th. The outfield indeed had its fair share of woes for the old professor. And despite the sports writers' confidence in the Yankees being heavy favorite for the Fall Classic, that confidence would remain a tad subdued after the Yankees were handed a 9-0 loss by the Kansas City Athletics on March 23rd. Harry Simpson would hit 2 home runs for the A's, and one of them was a grand slam in the 7th inning. For Simpson, the 2 bombs would mark numbers 5 and 6 for him in the last 10 games, which is actually astonishing when you look at his numbers. The 30-year-old had never hit more than 10 home runs in an entire season, which he did in 1952 for Cleveland. In 1955, he was traded from Cleveland to Kansas City, and in 115 total games, he only had 5 home runs. In 1955, he was traded from Cleveland to Kansas City, and in 115 games, had only hit 5 home runs. While Simpson had 2 home runs on March 23rd, the Yankees were held to just 3 hits combined off the work from pitchers Art Ciccarelli and Bill Harrington. I did have to look up Ciccarelli, sorry. On the mound, the Yankees would start Bob Grimm, who gave up 2 runs in the first and handed the ball to Jim Constanti in the 4th. Charles Silvera would also take over for Yogi behind the plate in the 4th. Mark Freeman would be responsible for the Athletics' big 7th inning. Jim Coates took over in the 8th and closed the game out. Definitely a busy day for the bullpen and a busy day for the Grapefruit League. Blowouts were in the air on March 23rd, the Cardinals beating the Red Sox 9-2, and the New York Giants combined for 4 home runs in their 10-1 beating of the Cleveland Indians. March 24th would see the tide shifting back toward the Yankees, though, thanks to a swing by Mickey Mantle in the 4th inning that sent the ball straight over the outfield wall in dead center, scoring 2 runs. 10,157 fans were in attendance to see the rematch of the World Series, the Dodgers versus the Yankees, the Subway Series vacationing down in Florida, and this time the Yankees ended up on top with a final score of 4-2. Don Larson started the game and through 6 innings of work only gave up 1 run. Tom Morgan would give up the other run in the 8th, and this loss for Brooklyn would snap the Dodgers' 6-game winning streak. The Yankees faced the Dodgers in Game 2 of 3 straight games the next day, Sunday the 25th, where the largest spring training crowd at Miami Stadium, 12,562 fans, saw the Yankees 4-hit shut out the Dodgers 5-0. For Dem Bums, Billy Lowe's would start, and after giving up 4 runs in the 5th would be taken out and replaced by Ed Roebuck. Ed Hughes, Don Basent, and Ralph Murillo would all pitch for the Dodgers, and Basent would have to come out after facing 4 batters when he aggravated an injury that had left him sidelined in the previous 15 games. The Yankees sent out Tommy Byrne to the mound, who would give up only 2 hits through 6 innings of work before Ralph Terry took over and replaced him to close out the game. Yankee batters would tag 10 hits onto the Dodgers pitching staff. Skowron continued his impressive spring, contributing 2 of the 5th inning runs off of a triple, and then another later on an infield grounder. Billy Martin would get a base hit after Skowron's triple to score him easily, and in the 9th, the Yankees were able to walk in their 5th run. Game 3 of the World Series rematch took place the following day, March 26th, and when it rains, it pours. The Dodgers would win the game 15-7, finally finding their ability at the plate. Mickey McDermott would be pounded severely, starting the game and being replaced by Johnny Cucks in the 3rd. The 2nd inning held all the drama, where the Dodgers sent 17 players up to the plate, mustering 10 hits that inning alone. That inning, Jackie Robinson would hit a 3-run home run, while Charles Neal, Gil Hodges, and Carl Ferrullo would each have 2 hits in the 2nd inning of Mickey McDermott's hell. The Yankees would combine for 15 hits off the combined pitching of Sandy Koufax, rookie Stan Williams, and Roger Craig. After their game on Sunday, the game previously, Game 2 against the Dodgers, Yankee pitcher Tommy Byrne talked to the reporters about a new pitch he had used against Pee Wee Reese in the 5th inning of their game. It was a pitch that he had picked up while the Yankees toured Japan in their offseason that Byrne dubbed the kimono pitch, as he wrapped his arm around his body, concealing the ball before unwinding himself and shooting the ball somewhere toward the plate in the process. Against Reese, although the pitch was outside, he swung. He was quoted later as saying, "I didn't know what to think. I've been in baseball a long time, but I've never seen anything like that before. I knew the guy was squirrely, but I didn't know he was that bad. Hell's bells." Byrne had warned Casey Stengel he would attempt the pitch that game. Stengel, after the game, told reporters, "I'm not surprised at anything that fellow does anymore. He stopped off in Egypt on the tour. I wouldn't be surprised a bit if he didn't pick up a pitch there that comes to the plate like the humps on a camel's back." Harold Rosenthal wrote an analysis in a March issue of Sporting News that broke down Mickey Mantle's hitting from either side of the plate, and as Rosenthal states, officially reopens the debate on if Mantle is stronger batting right-handed or left-handed. The number of home runs would lead you to think lefty, as he hits more from that side of the plate, but even in his 1955 numbers show a consistency on the right side that outmatches the left. Batting righty in 1955, Mantle hit .371 and only struck out 17 times. While batting lefty, he hit .279 and struck out 81 times. And that being said, in 1955, it wasn't like he hit one more home run left-handed than right. Indeed, more than 2/3 of his 37 home runs that year were hit from the left side. From Mantle's perspective, although he bats naturally from the right, Rosenthal quotes Mantle saying, "I've been a switch hitter my entire life. I mean, from the time I was 6 years old. My father taught me to hit left-handed so I'd have an advantage when I batted against all kinds of pitching." Mantle also broke down his swing, offering a glimpse into the mechanics of the Mick himself. "I get a better cut left-handed, but it's a swing that comes up, and so I strike out more that way. When I hit right-handed, my swing is more level. I get more power and the ball goes further, even though it looks as though it won't." Newspapers picked up on the sentiment and began giving credit where credit was due. Where a week earlier, papers were publishing question marks around Mantle's name, instead, articles comparing Mantle to Babe Ruth and pointing to his extraordinary spring as signs of good swings and more homers to come. In his first 9 spring training games, Mantle hit 5 home runs, 2 triples, and 3 doubles, with a batting average of .484. None of the 5 home runs he had hit that spring measured under 400 feet. Mantle appeared like a boiling pot about to boil over, like a balloon about to burst from too much air. And when he did, you just have to feel bad for the poor guy 66 feet away, whose job it was to try and sneak one past him. You aren't going to. Pitchers this spring in the Grapefruit League hadn't yet found a way to consistently quiet his bat. Let's just hope by the time the regular season starts, the American League pitchers have all said their Hail Marys. The Yankees would square off against the Washington Senators on March 28th and would see 2 more Yankees make their way onto the injured list during it. Billy Martin would leave the game with a bruised knee, and Mickey Mantle, all fears somewhat confirmed, would leave the game with a pulled leg muscle. There could be nothing to stop Mickey Mantle other than his own legs. The Senators would also have 2 players join the injured list due to the game. Pitcher Hal Griggs was hit on the right foot by a hard ball from the bat of Andy Carey, and infielder Pete Runnels was hit by a pitch from Bob Turley directly to the hand. Turley would have his 4th tough spring training outing, this time pitching 6 innings, giving up 8 hits and 6 runs, 4 of which came in the 3rd. In 20 innings this spring, Turley has given up 29 hits and 14 runs, walking 12 batters while only striking out 10. Mantle, taken out during the 4th inning, was removed after pulling a hamstring muscle in his right leg while sliding into second base. It was the same injury that sidelined him toward the end of the last season, and for a fire burning so hot in March, one hopes that Mickey didn't burn out. The Yankees would lose the game 6-4, in hope between losing Mantle and Martin to injuries, albeit Billy's was just a bruise. Certainly Bob Turley, the hard-throwing starter, will hope to find some consistency in his form before the season starts in 3 weeks. The starting pitcher issues rolled into the next day, this time infecting the unusual suspect of Whitey Ford. Facing off against the Dodgers, Gil Hodges and Jackie Robinson each hit first-inning home runs to give the Dodgers the early 4-0 lead. Chipping away at that lead, Yankee batters were able to add up to 10 hits off Carl Erskine and tie the game. It was Dodger relief pitcher Clem Labine that would be the Dodger hero, as he pitched 3 innings without allowing a hit before the Dodgers won it in the 10th 5-4. The banged-up Yankees were feeling it. From injury-stricken outfielders to a starting pitcher curse that started with Turley but at times had infected others, Gus Mauch, the Yankee team trainer, at times appeared to have more players reporting to him on the injured list than were reporting to Casey at camp. The current list of injured players is Billy Martin, Elston Howard, Billy Hunter, Gil McDougald, Norm Seaburn, Mickey Mantle, and my favorite duo Bob Cerv and Irv Noren, or as we now famously know them, Bob Cerv Noren. The Yankees and Phillies would play each other in the only Grapefruit League game on Friday, March 30th, which in 1956 was Good Friday and marked the start of Easter weekend. The Bombers would have their bombs defused for their 4th shutout of the spring, losing the game to the Phillies 2-0. Robin Roberts, pitching for the Phillies, gave up only 2 hits in 7 innings, while the Yankees sent rookie Ralph Terry to the mound, who other than the 6th inning didn't look too bad. That inning, Richie Ashburn would walk and advance to third on a double by Bobby Morgan, and then Del Enos would hit them both home with a single. The Yankee batters were held to just 4 hits total. Rip Coleman took over in the 7th inning, and giving up 2 hits, he made it 12 consecutive scoreless innings this spring for him. The loss would take the Yankee spring record to 11-9. Ralph Terry pitched in Don Larson's rotation spot, who was pitching with the Yankee B squad against their AAA team, Richmond. The Yankees front office was also making news by pushing the American League to adopt legislation that would require hitters to wear batting helmets. The National League had already taken up and adopted a rule, but as it stands in the books as of March 30th, 1956, there is no rule requiring the use of protective headgear. It would just be purely at the discretion of the players, the team, etc. They weren't done there, though. The front office also announced their first round of cuts at camp, taking their 50-man squad down to 44. Catcher John Blanchard, as well as 5 pitchers, George Meyer, and then what I'm going to dub the Jims, Jim DePaulo, Jim O'Reilly, Jim Pignatello, and Jim Coates. Blanchard and Jim O'Reilly were sent to the AA Birmingham Barons in the Southern Association. Pignatello and Coates were sent to the AAA team Richmond Virginians in the International League. And George Meyer and Jim DePaulo were sent to the AAA Denver Bears in the American Association. All rookies. The first cuts were done, and 44 players remain. Tommy Byrne took the mound on Saturday 31st against the Cardinals, and in 7 innings he would give up 10 hits and all 5 runs that the Cards would score as they beat the Yankees 5-2, taking the Yankees' losing streak to 5 straight. Rip Rapolsky would bring in the last 2 runs for the Cardinals in the 7th inning when he hit an inside-the-park home run. Harvey Haddix for the Cardinals in 7 innings of work would only give up 7 hits and strike out 7. For the Yankees, their scoring happened first in the game. With 2 outs, Billy Martin hit a triple and would be scored when Yogi Berra hit a double. Yogi was then scored on a single by Bill Skowron. The 2 runs wouldn't be enough despite being the first 2 runs scored by the Yankees in the last 23 innings. Skowron had stepped up in Mantle's absence and so far in the spring was the Yankees' strongest hitter, hitting over 400. April 1st would bring its own sort of misfortune or April Fools for the Yankees when third baseman Andy Carey was hit in the hand during batting practice and had to be scratched from the lineup due to a bruised knuckle. He would be the latest Yankee to add to the injured list. Happy Easter, Yankees! Insert some joke about all the hurt Yankees rising from the injured list today in celebration like 3 days later, but no, okay, never mind. Mickey McDermott would take the mound for the Yankees and pitch 9 innings for the first time in the spring. Facing off against the Cardinals again, the score did a reversal, and the Yankees snapped their 5-game losing streak, beating the Cardinals 5-2. Yogi would drive in 3 runs, and Hank Bauer would hit a 9th-inning home run, waking up the quiet Yankee bats. This will also mark where we leave off for this episode. We have officially made it to April. Heck, Mickey McDermott just pitched 9 innings for the first time. Opening day is now just a little more than 2 weeks away, and Casey still has a lot of figuring out to do. There will be just 3 more games in Florida during spring training before the Yankees will make their way back to New York. Next time, I hope to get us there. Opening day, like I've mentioned, takes place on April 17th, and hopefully after next episode, we're right there in our box seats in Washington to see them take on the Senators. Until then, thanks for listening, and see you next time.